Oh, Valentine's Day, the holiday of love, one where we are expected to get heart-shaped boxes filled with chocolate, teddy bears, romantic cards, or if we're not in a relationship, feel like we're failing or incredibly alone. We've been talking about emotional intelligence this month, so I wanted to share with you a vulnerable moment and then give you some strategies that you can use to improve any relationship, not just a romantic one. So in an effort to avoid back surgery, I have gotten a series of injections. And after the third one, I was getting really irritable. And I was telling one of my friends that I was just frustrated with everybody and everything, that I was super angry, that I just wanted to smother someone in their sleep. And she said, honey, you've got roid rage. And it didn't even occur to me that the steroids were causing all of these intense emotions. And as someone who teaches emotional intelligence and self-awareness, I wasn't feeling very self-aware or emotionally intelligent. And I started really reflecting on my behavior. At the same time, I'm a researcher and I've studied relationships. And the person who is really behind most of the research in relationships is John Gottman. He's the one who did a study with 700 newly married couples, observed their communication for about 15 minutes, and was able at the end to determine with over 90% accuracy which of those couples would be married over a decade later. In that case, he found that on average, the couples that were successful had 5 deposits to every 1 withdrawal in their emotional bank account. And these didn't necessarily need to be compliments. It could be listening without interrupting, or displaying empathy, or a genuine touch or smile. And he came up with 4 behaviors. He calls these the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse. And when I was starting to experience this surge of anger coming from these hormones, I realized I was not necessarily behaving in a way that I wanted to. So I want to share with you these 4 behaviors because, yeah, chocolate's great, but if you're not changing your behavior in relationships, one day a year isn't going to salvage that. So the first is criticism, and he differentiates between a criticism and a complaint. So a complaint would be, when you didn't call yesterday, I got worried about you. A criticism would be, you never call. You're so inconsiderate. You don't even think about how it'll make me feel. There's a difference between being frustrated with a behavior and making it personal. The next is contempt, and this is just sheer anger, and some I felt last week, which was just, you never care about me. You never think about how I'm feeling, or you're sarcastic, like, yeah, I'll get right on that. And it just makes the other person feel uncared for, unloved, and disrespected. The next behavior is defensiveness, and we've all been there. We defend ourselves, like, well, I wouldn't have done X if you hadn't have done Y, and we start to defend our behavior. What we don't realize is that that invites not only more defensiveness from the other person, but actually aggressiveness. Nobody wants to share feedback, ideas, or be loving to somebody who is constantly defensive. And the last is stonewalling, and this is just shutting down. You know what? Fine, forget it. You slam the door, you go into the other room, you ignore the person. Now, I think we can probably honestly say if you're in a romantic relationship, or one that used to be romantic, you've probably taken part in some or all of these behaviors. It's a human tendency. But when we know what they are, we can make a conscious decision about how we want to behave instead. So for example, Jay and I have a code word. When I am starting to feel that frustration bubble up and he can sense it, he says Penelope. And it's just a quick shift in my brain to go, okay, this isn't me. This is these internal emotions and electrical impulses and sensations happening in my brain as a result of medication. It doesn't fix every problem, but it's super helpful. So if you're in a relationship, yes, teddy bears are wonderful. Candy is great. And who doesn't love fresh flowers? But really be deliberate, be mindful in your relationships of listening without interrupting and from a place of curiosity and empathy. Try not to defend your behavior or criticize a person's character, rather focus on the behavior. And stonewalling or shutting down and not being willing to talk about it is a form of passive aggressiveness, and that never works. So I wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you make emotionally intelligent decisions, and I am hoping that I don't have any more steroids because this girl cannot take any more of that.